Hello everyone, today we're gonna learn about the Passato Prossimo and Imperfetto. These are both past tenses, verbal tenses in Italian, and today we're gonna learn when to use one or the other, since it's one of the most confusing things that you learn, that you need to learn in order to speak a good Italian, and so a correct Italian. So okay, passato prossimo e imperfetto. The passato prossimo and the imperfect. So this is the translation. Obiettivo della lezione. So the lesson objective of today is: oggi, today, impariamo a parlare. We are going to learn how to talk del passato in italiano, about the past in Italian. Vedremo due tempi verbali molto importanti. We will look at two very important verb tenses, il passato prossimo e l'imperfetto, the passato prossimo and the imperfect. Il passato prossimo si usa soprattutto per azioni concluse. This translates to: the passato prossimo is mainly used for completed actions. In the past, obviously, this one is kind of, on the implicit here. These are past tenses. So don't think about the present, don't think about the future. This is all about the past. Where was I? Ok, l'imperfetto si usa soprattutto per descrizioni, abitudini e azioni in corso nel passato. So the imperfect is mainly used for descriptions, habits, and actions that were in progress in the past. So here we have il passato prossimo, the passato prossimo. Il passato prossimo descrive normalmente un'azione che è iniziata e finita nel passato. So, the passato prossimo normally describes an action that started and finished in the past. Examples. Ieri ho mangiato una pizza. Ho mangiato here is the passato prossimo. So it is the verb mangiare, to eat, in the past. So basically I ate. Yesterday I ate a pizza. Sabato siamo andati al cinema. Here we have siamo andati. This is we went. So in Italian, here we have the verb to be, essere, siamo, conjugated in the first plural person. So noi, we. On Saturday we went to the cinema. Then we have other examples. Maria ha comprato un vestito nuovo. Maria bought a new dress. Ho perso le chiavi. I lost my keys. Luca è arrivato alle 8. Luca arrived at 8 o'clock. Abbiamo studiato per 3 ore. We studied for 3 hours. Okay. So, if I have not been clear before, or you haven't heard this thing before, why is it that sometimes, like here for example, here as well, we don't have the pronouns, at least in an explicit way in the phrase, because the pronoun is implicit. Here, like in every other verb tense in Italian, like in the present, for example, in the present simple as well, presente indicativo, this happens as well. We don't need to put the pronoun, since ho perso, for example, is already telling us that we are talking about I, the first singular person. So I don't need to say io ho perso. I can just say ho perso, because there isn't any room for miscomprehension, since it's not like in English that different pronouns have the same verb conjugation, here it's always pretty much different. So then let's go ahead. Come si forma il passato prossimo? So how the passato prossimo is formed. Come si forma? How is it formed? So, il passato prossimo si forma con avere o essere, this is what I was telling you before, as auxiliaries, so in the present, al presente, più il participio passato, plus the past participle. So here we have the passato prossimo is formed with avere, to have, or essere, to be, in the present tense, plus the past participle, con avere, so with avere. For example, ho mangiato, I ate, I have eaten. Hai studiato, you studied, you have studied. This one single phrase in Italian can mean both these things in English. Then we have abbiamo comprato, we bought, we have bought. And then with essere, so con essere. Sono arrivato, I arrived, I have arrived. Se parla una donna, sono arrivata. If a woman is speaking, obviously it changes. I arrived, I have arrived. In English is the same, but in Italian, arrivato is referring to a man, and arrivata is referring to a woman. Siamo partiti, we left, we have left. Se il gruppo è composto solo da donne, siamo partite. So obviously siamo partiti is the neutral one, since it's masculine, or is talking about a group of only men. If the group instead consists only of women, we left, we have left is siamo partite, so instead of e, ok? And then we have here con essere, il participio passato cambia secondo il genere e il numero. So with essere, the past participle changes according to gender and number. This thing happens only when essere is the auxiliary verb. When we have avere as auxiliary, this doesn't change. Ho mangiato, abbiamo mangiato, for example. It doesn't change. Ok, here we have then other examples. Marco è andato a Roma. Marco went to Rome. Anna è andata a Roma. Anna went to Rome. Marco e Luca sono andati a Roma. Marco and Luca went to Rome. Anna e Giulia sono andate a Roma. Anna and Julia went to Rome. Ok, i participi passati regolari. Here we have the regular past participles. Verbi in are, verbs ending in are. Parlare, to speak, becomes parlato, spoken. Mangiare, to eat, becomes mangiato, eaten. Comprare, to buy, becomes comprato, bought. Lavorare, to work, becomes lavorato, worked. So basically the rule is we take away are as a desinence and we add ato for the verbs that end in ere at the infinitive. Then we have the verbs that end in ere in the infinitive. So verbi in ere. Credere, to believe, becomes creduto, believed. Ricevere, to receive, becomes ricevuto, received. Vendere, to sell, becomes venduto, sold. So the rule here is we take away are, the desinence, and we add uto. Okay? And for ire, verbi in ire, so verbs ending in ire, dormire, for example, to sleep, becomes dormito, slept. So here we take away ire and we add ito. Finire, to finish, finito, finished. Partire, to leave, partito, left. Okay. Also, partito means political party as well in Italian, so don't get it confused. Depending, obviously, on the context, try to understand if this means a political party. Okay, and here we have alcuni participi passati irregolari importanti. So, some important irregular past participles, because yeah, many follow these rules that we have seen here, but a lot of them don't. And here are some of the most seen out in the wild when speaking or when listening to Italian. When we are speaking Italian or when we are listening to Italian. So we are here fare, to do, or to make. It can mean both things in Italian. And fatto, done, made. Dire, to say, detto, said. These ones, so how do you remember them? You just have to memorize them, kind of. You could maybe read them like multiple times to get them in your mind, but sometimes it's easier to just get as much input of Italian as you can, and obviously they are gonna come up with the utmost certainty. So if you have if you have, like, I would say, lots of troubles, or it's somewhat troubling for you to memorize things, for a myriad of reasons. I don't need to know, honestly. Whatever. I mean, sometimes it's hard to remember certain specific things, and once you memorize them one time, maybe if you don't use them, obviously you forget. Your brain does this. It's certainly a mechanism that's ingrained in us. We cannot, basically have all that we have learned in our lives sit in our brain, covered with dust, and not use it at all. So yeah, some things you do forget. And since these are things that, they appear in Italian, if you use Italian, you could memorize them and then, listen to a lot of Italian. But although if you don't memorize them and you still listen to a lot of Italian, you're probably gonna learn them in a passive way. Then we have going away from this discourse, from this monologue that I made, vedere, to see, visto, seen. Prendere, to take. The past participle is preso, taken. Scrivere, to write, becomes scritto, written. Leggere, to read, becomes letto, read. Letto means also bed in Italian. And so, yeah, obviously, depending on the situation, try to understand with which meaning is, being approached. So here we have bere, to drink, bevuto, drunk. Here we have mettere, to put, messo, put. Aprire, to open, aperto, opened. Chiudere, to close, chiuso, closed. Rimanere, to remain or to stay. Rimasto, remained or stayed. Nascere, to be born. Nato, born. Okay. And here we have some complete conjugations. For example, the verb to eat. So we have coniugazione completa, mangiare al passato prossimo. So complete conjugation, mangiare in the passato prossimo. Io ho mangiato. Tu hai mangiato. Lui ha mangiato. Lei ha mangiato. Noi abbiamo mangiato. Voi avete mangiato. Loro hanno mangiato. The translation is written down below. If I remember, I'm gonna leave the file in the description. I mean, I could remember, I could just be lazy and not do it. But yeah, I will try and not be lazy and leave it in the description if I can, yeah. If I can achieve not to be lazy. Yeah. So here we have instead the coniugazione completa, so complete conjugation of the verb andare al passato prossimo. So andare, it means to go. Here we have io sono andata. Io sono andato or andata. Obviously here it changes because here we have as auxiliary to have, so it doesn't change depending on the person if it's masculine or feminine. Instead, when we have the verb to be as auxiliary, essere, yeah, it does change. So io sono andato, masculine, andata, feminine. Tu sei andato, andata. Lui è andato. Obviously lui is he, so it couldn't be andata because that's feminine and he is masculine, lui is masculine. Ok. Lei è andata. Here she went, so yeah, this one needs to be feminine. Noi siamo andati, andate. We went. Voi siete andati, andate. You went. Loro, you plural, obviously voi. Loro sono andati, andate. They went. Okay. Obviously, andati is the masculine and plural way. And andate is the feminine and plural. Okay, so then we have the imperfect, l'imperfetto. I'm gonna end this lesson right here, and I'm gonna do a second part of it where I will go through how to, get to use the imperfetto. But I will also do a lesson that you can look forward to on a confusing thing that many people have doubts on, even people that are on a higher level of Italian than maybe you are if you're watching this. Many people have doubts on this, and I'm gonna try to make it clear once and for all. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the fact that, as you have seen, the passato prossimo is formed with avere or essere at the present tense. How can that be? So it's avere or essere. How do I know if it's avere or essere that I need to use for a specific verb? I know based on the verb. So mangiare wants avere as auxiliary. Arrivare wants essere as auxiliary. And we're gonna learn how to recognize if a verb wants avere or essere as auxiliary for them. Okay, see you in the next class. Have a good day, evening, or whatever you, I don't know. Bye.